We from Group SAB10 would like to present our end-of-year project entitled The Impact of Islamic Financial Technology Toward Financial Inclusion Among Students in Higher Education Institutions in Malaysia. And allow me to introduce the group members, myself, Muhammad Ikhwan bin Johari, A22A0395, Yusniza binti Bahrum, A22A0383, Nur Haliza binti Syekh Muhammad, A22A0386, Nurul Idina binti Saiful Nizam, A22A0380.
To start, let's discuss the background of the study. Over the past decade, financial technology or fintech has significantly transformed the global financial services landscape. Fintech innovations like mobile banking, peer-to-peer lending, e-wallets, and crowdfunding have made financial services more accessible, especially for those previously excluded from the traditional banking system. In Malaysia, fintech has been positioned as a tool to enhance financial inclusion, providing affordable, accessible services to everyone, especially marginalized groups such as low-income families, people in rural areas, and students. However, despite this progress, there remains a significant portion of the population that is underbanked or unbanked. This includes about 20% of Malaysian adults, according to the World Bank, who still lack access to formal financial services. Islamic finance plays a key role here. Many Malaysians are Muslim, and traditional financial services often don't align with Sharia principles, which prohibit practices like charging interest. This gap has created a need for Islamic fintech, which blends modern technology with Sharia-compliant financial solutions. Although adoption of Islamic fintech has been slow, particularly among university students, it holds the potential to address financial exclusion, especially for students who need accessible, ethical financial solutions. Now, let's move on to the research questions. The primary focus of this study is to understand how Islamic fintech can contribute to financial inclusion among university students in Malaysia. Specifically, this research will answer the following questions. First, what is the relationship between perceived usefulness and financial inclusion among students at Malaysian higher education institutions? Second, what is the relationship between perceived ease of use and financial inclusion among students at Malaysian higher education institutions? Third, what is the relationship between attitude toward using technology and financial inclusion among students at Malaysian higher education institutions? Moving on to the research objective, the aim of this study is to explore how these three factors affect students' adoption of Islamic fintech and ultimately their financial inclusion. The objectives are, first, to examine the relationship between perceived usefulness and financial inclusion among students at Malaysian higher education institutions. Second, to examine the relationship between perceived ease of use and financial inclusion among students at Malaysian higher education institutions. Third, to examine the relationship between attitude toward using technology and financial inclusion among students at Malaysian higher education institutions. By understanding these relationships, the study seeks to provide insights into the factors that encourage or discourage students from using Islamic fintech platforms.
Next is our problem statement. We state three problem statements in our research, which is first is lack of financial education, and it caused by limited exposure to understanding of Islamic fintech that can contribute to the low adoption of Sharia-compliant financial technology. The second problem is lack of compliance with Islamic financial principles among certain fintech platforms, which can make students at Malaysia higher education institution hesitation to use fintech. And the third one is fear of data security risks. As we know that fintech usage necessarily involve digital transaction that require sensitive data. Our scope of study. Our study is focused on public universities located in Pantai Timur and focused on students between the age of 18 and 30 from various socioeconomic groups and backgrounds, including those from urban and rural areas. Next is how Islamic fintech platforms influence financial inclusion and how Sharia compliance impacts student adoption of fintech. And for our significance of study, firstly, this study can assist other researchers in conducting future research related to Islamic fintech and financial inclusion. In addition, it can benefit the industry by providing empirical data that support the development of fintech in developing and emerging economy. Furthermore, the study can enhance students' understanding of Islamic fintech and how it influences financial inclusion in Malaysia context. Next, for our dependent variable. Our dependent variable for this study is financial inclusion. Financial inclusion is the ability of the broad society to have access to and use varieties of financial services, which are provided appropriately and responsibly in an environment well regulated. Financial inclusion can be measured by indicators like the number of bank, branch, and ATM. So, the high levels of financial inclusion in many large countries, including those in Asia, such as Malaysia, they reflect of the region development in financial service. The figures sourced from the Global Financial Index show the level of financial inclusion in developing Asia in 2024. Malaysia scored between 16 and 75, so the indicating the financial inclusion in the country is still developing, particularly through the new approach such as fintech.
Now, let's look at the independent variable, which is financial technology fintech, specifically Islamic fintech. Islamic fintech platforms combine digital financial services with Sharia compliant principles, offering solutions like mobile banking, e-wallets, and peer-to-peer lending that align with Islamic teachings. In Malaysia, fintech plays a crucial role in enhancing financial inclusion, particularly for underserved populations, including university students. These students are often digitally literate, making them a prime audience for fintech adoption. However, the adoption of Islamic fintech is influenced by several factors, including perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and attitude toward using technology. The study uses the technology acceptance model, which called as TAM, to understand the adoption of Islamic fintech platforms. Let's break down the key constructs of TAM. Firstly, perceived usefulness. This refers to the degree to which a person believes using the technology will enhance their performance or improve their quality of life. For students, it's about how much they feel these platforms can help them manage their finances more effectively and ethically. Secondly, perceived ease of use. This is the degree to which a person believes using the technology will be easy and require minimal efforts. If students find Islamic fintech platforms user-friendly and easy to navigate, they are more likely to adopt them. Thirdly, attitude toward using technology. This reflects a person's general positive or negative sentiment towards using the technology. Students who perceive Islamic fintech as aligned with their values and beliefs are more likely to have a positive attitude toward using it.
To build a strong theoretical framework for this study, we adopted the technology acceptance model TAM introduced by Fred Davis in 1986. This model is highlight relevant for understanding student behavior toward technology uses, especially in the context of digital Islamic finance application or Islamic fintech. TAM emphasizes three key components: purchase usefulness, purchase ease of use, and attitude toward use. These three elements influence an individual's intention and behavior to adopt a particular technology. In the context of our study, TAM helped us understand how students in Malaysia higher education institutions accept and use Islamic fintech application, and to what extent this acceptance contribute to their level of financial inclusion. This story was chosen because it is easy to understand, widely tested, and have been extensively used in previous fintech-related studies. Therefore, TAM is the most appropriate theoretical framework to support the objective of this research.
This is the conceptual framework for our study. It illustrates the relationship between three independent variables and one dependent variable, which is financial inclusion. The independent variables are perceived usefulness, perceived ease of use, and attitude toward using technology. All three variables are hypotheses to influence financial inclusion, and these relationships are tested using partial least square, structural equation modeling. From this framework, we developed the following hypotheses. First hypothesis, there is a positive and significant relationship between perceived usefulness and financial inclusion. Second hypothesis, there is a positive and significant relationship between perceived ease of use and financial inclusion. Third hypothesis, there is a positive and significant relationship between attitude toward using technology and financial inclusion. This hypothesis aims to identify risk factors significantly affect student use of Islamic fintech and how they contribute to financial inclusion among students in Malaysian higher education institutions. This study adopts a descriptive correlational research design. This design is suitable as it allows the researcher to observe and analyze the relationship between variables without manipulating them. It provides a clearly understanding of the pattern and connection among factors such as perceived usefulness, ease of use, and attitude toward technology in relation to financial inclusion. To support the design, we use a quantitative method for data collection. This involves collection numerical data that can be analyzed using statistical tools such as percentage, ratio, and graph. The sampling method used is based on both probability and non-probability technique. We refer to established sampling methods such as those described. We choose this method because it ensures efficient data collection while still enabling generation to the broader student population. The target population of this study consists of students enrolled in public higher education institutions located in the East Coast of Malaysia, especially in Kelantan, Terengganu, and Pahang. According to recent report, these three states record a total student enrollment of approximately 91,771 students, covering both undergraduate and postgraduate level. Students are also active use of financial technology in daily life, for example, in paying tuition fee, shopping online, or using mobile financial app. Additionally, they often experience economic limitation which make them a suitable group of explore issue of financial inclusion and access. To represent this large and diverse population, we refer to the Courage and Morgan 1970 sample size determined table. Based on this table, a sample size is 300 to 500 respondents is considered sufficient to ensure that the results are both statistically reliable and generally to the wider student population. For this study, we applied the confidence sampling technique. Respondents were selected based on availability and accessibility without randomization. This method was chosen because the target population is large and geographically spread, making random sampling challenging due to time, cost, and logical constraints. To maximize participants, questionnaire was distributed via Google Form on WhatsApp and student media platform. While confidence sampling has limitation in terms of the ability, it remains the most practical and efficient under the study conduction. As for the research instrument, we use a structured questionnaire to collect data. The questionnaire is divided into three sections. Section A, gather demographic data. Section B, measurement the independent variable. And Section C, focus on the dependent variable. To ensure content validity, the questionnaire was reviewed by 2 academic experts and a pilot test involving 30 students was conducted. The results show that all concepts had combined alpha value above 0.70, indicating strong reliability. In this study, all constructs were measured using a 5-point Likert scale, ranging from 1 strongly disagree to 5 strongly agree. This score was selected to capture a more accurate reflection of student perception and attitude toward Islamic financial technology. All measurement items were adapted from the technology extraction model TAM and modified to suit the Islamic fintech context among Malaysian students. As for data analysis, raw data collected was first coded, cleaned and checked for missing value. Then descriptive analysis was conducted using SPSS version 26.0, where interferal analysis was performed using Smart PLS 4.0, which apply PLS SIM. The analysis process involves two key stages. First, the measurement model was assessed for internal consistency, convergent validity, and discriminant validity. Then, the structure model was examined using pipe conference, value, effect size, predictive 11, and multi-collinear test.